back in the saddle again. It's Friday night showdown time at Richmond International Raceway. I'm J.D. Webb, one of the producers here for ETV Live. Usually downstairs in Race Central, but tonight, Michael Conti, David Bass, and I will be calling the act. Reports coming from, well, maybe pit road, depends on if our pit crew gets here tonight or not. A couple of them had some prior commitment. But I'll tell you what, the legend in sim broadcasting, John Wessling, working those magic fingers on the cameras for you tonight as well. Last week, David, we were camped out at Michigan all week where Jared Crawford went home with another trophy for the display case. E.J. Hollywood O'Rourke still struggling to hang on to a top five. I'll tell you what, Cowboy, welcome to ETV Live's presentation of Friday Night Showdown, sponsored by Gary Mercer Trucking.
Yeah, no question. JD, last week was outstanding. We saw a great race, a lot of green flag racing, things that we weren't expecting to see. A few cautions early, but overall everybody did a great job. And you know what? Tonight, if we thought last week was good, tonight I think it's going to be even better yet.
Outstanding. I'll tell you what, why don't we quickly take them down through the points to let everybody know who's who and who's where here in the Friday Night Showdown B-Class racing here. Jared Crawford, as we mentioned, David, going home with the trophy from Michigan last week. The guy just seems to be unbeatable. Sitting at the top, 279 points to the good side. Sitting in second seat right behind him, up a notch this week, Cowboy, David Cater, struggling to hang on, trying to pursue that Jared Crawford up there, 32 points behind the leader.
Yeah, and sitting in third right now with 242 points, 37 points out. Lost one position last week, Brad Mehar. And in fourth is Ryan Engel, 216 points. Gained one spot last week.
E.J. O'Rourke, talked about him pre-race. I'll tell you what, he's desperately trying to hang on to this top five position in the points. Up a notch this week, guys. 214 points. He's sharing that seat with Anthony Kernich down here. And I'll tell you, they're both 65 points behind the leader, so looking for a big points night here tonight.
Yeah, we got a tie for fifth. We also got a tie for seventh back here. Brandon Bowie up a spot, 208 points, 71 points back, and sharing that with him is John Bunton, 208 points, 71 points back.
And bringing up the bottom end down here, guys, in ninth position, Chad Lawton, having a pretty decent season, still up inside the top 10, 207 points to the good side, 72 behind the leader, only one notch below John Bunton up there in eighth position, and then rounding out your top 10, Zach Hudson, up three notches, Cowboy, 90 points behind the leader, looking for a strong night here tonight at Richmond. Why don't we go ahead and send it on down trackside as the national anthem presented by the Cactus Cutie.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
JD here with ETV Live, and let me tell you something. If it's too big for the pickup truck and you need to move it, there's only one trucking company you need to call, and don't bother with the Yellow Pages Cowboy. I'll give you that number in a minute. Manufactured goods, automotive, technical equipment, furniture, even if you need a reefer, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated is the only choice, Cowboy. With locations in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, Rancho Cucamonga, California, if you need to move it, store it, and keep it cold, you need to call Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated. Long haul, short haul, or just across town, Gary Mercer has the best trained and qualified drivers to get your load from point A to point B with professionalism and on time. So remember, Hoss, if it don't fit in a pickup truck, you're going to need a real truck, Cowboy. Sponsors of ETV Live's Friday Night Showdown, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated, 1-800-668-2980. All right, and I'll tell you what, you don't want to miss that race June 24th at about 1:30 in the afternoon from Silverstone. Some road racing here live on ETV Live. Been doing a couple of them here for Neil Heckins and his group over there on Sunday afternoons. I'll tell you what, some outstanding racing, Cowboys, so you don't want to miss that. June 24th at Silverstone. But, David, we're here at Richmond International Raceway here tonight, getting set for, looks like 130 laps, Cowboy. Kind of a small track here, 3/4 of a mile, 13.5 feet wide, Cowboy, from the safer barrier down to the apron line down there, kind of a D-shaped oval, and about 14 degrees or so in the turns, 8 degrees on the starting line. So looking for some fast, quick action here tonight.
No question it's going to be fast. It's going to be quick. You know, the drivers love this track. There's room to move. You know, it's 2, sometimes 3 lanes wide, and you can make moves all the way around this track. So it's one of the things these guys like, but it is also short track, and I'm sure we're going to see our fair share of bent fenders before the end of the evening.
You bet, and we'll see if Jared Crawford can hang on to that lead. Of course, he'll be starting out on the front row up there with Chad Lawton. Chad Lawton having a good run at Michigan last week, guys, as I sat downstairs in a trailer tonight up in the booth here with none other than David Bass. Tell you what, it's a lot of fun coming up here and sharing the seat with you guys every once in a while. Checking over here in the chat room, David, Rob Mahar in the chat room over here, commenting about how it makes the hair stand up on the back of his neck when he hears the Cactus Cooties rendition of the national anthem. I'll tell you, one of the most beautiful ones that I've ever heard in my life. But looks like O&R Smoke along for the ride here tonight. EPC along for the ride. Dumont in the house. So welcome to the race, guys, as the Cowboys down here saddle up their ponies and get ready to get out there on the starting line, and we'll run down the lineup here just momentarily. In fact, why don't we go ahead and do that right now? Of course, so we just mentioned them, David, starting up on the front row on the pole tonight, Jared Crawford, no stranger to that front row, but on the outside in that number 7 machine in second position is going to be Chad Lawton.
Starting in third is going to be that number 5 machine at Casey Malone. And starting outside of him in fourth is going to be the number 8 at Justin Brook. A couple of guys starting a little further forward than we're used to seeing.
And Brandon Houck, he'll be starting in 5th position, and that number 14 machine on the inside. Outside him, Tyler D. Hudson. He'll be starting in that number 1 car tonight in 6th.
And starting in 7th in that number 11, Brad Mahar. Outside of him in the number 9 is going to be Chad Coleman.
Devin Hall in 9th position, David, in that number 6 machine tonight. David Cater. I'll tell you what, he's looking for a good points night here tonight. He'll be starting in 10th on the outside in that number 20 machine.
And as they start to roll off here, starting in 11th is going to be the number 25 at Ian Hahn. Outside of him in 12th is going to be the number 19 at Carson Downs.
Hollywood O'Rourke starting in 13th position tonight. Paul Kashiva in 14th.
15th is going to be that number 24, Mark Gomez. Starting in 16th is going to be the number 23 of Jake Poulin.
Adam Gillian will be starting 17th, 18th. Wes Weidman, go down the rest of the field for you. Not qualifying here tonight. Joshua Gerald John Button, Armando Vargas in the house, Brandon Bowie, who made a good effort last week at Michigan, Paul Klein in the house tonight, Tyler Hill rounding out your field tonight. 25th position is going to be Stephen Gilbert as we get set to go green flag racing here at Richmond International Raceway. In fact, I believe they're going to do one more lap. Looks like they get the wave by here. Lights are off on the pace car. So one more time around here, David, and we'll turn this Cowboys loose down here. But I'll tell you what, 3/4 mile track. This is, I mean, that's not the fastest track in the world, but it is one of the quickest.
Yeah, it sure seems like it's fast to these guys as well. They're carrying a lot of speed around this place and doing it well. You know, one of the things we're going to want to watch tonight, JD, is going to be that exit of turn 2, especially if these guys get 2 or 3 wide. The way that track flattens out right there, we've been known to see some pretty big wrecks at that exit.
You bet. And let's run down some names here again. All right, you want to write these down. Anthony Kunich, Brandon Bowie, John Button, E.G. O'Rourke. Tell you what, big points tonight for these guys here tonight as the pace car pulls off. So we get set to go racing. Jared Crawford picks up the green flag, and we're off and running at Richmond.
Off and running. Jared Crawford off and running away from the field as he does every restart. He's up front. But to tell you, the surprise, I think, is going to be the fact Chad Lawton wasn't able to make any use of that and is going to slide back. But I just happened to see in the background there, Tyler Hudson just kind of got up into the wall coming off of turn 2. That's one of the dangers on these restarts when they are double wide. It's easy for that to happen.
And in 4th position, the number 8 car, Justin Brooks, coming off of turn 4, guys getting wild out of shape, was able to hang on to it right there in front of Houck. But I'll tell you what, the 11 machine of Brad Mayhar making his move early here, moving him up a notch here, up into 6, almost going too wide here past the start line. Going into turn 1, Brad Mayhar on the move.
Yeah, Brad's definitely going to try to make up some ground, get up here and do what he can. But one of the things is, okay, he knows he's chasing Jared Crawford, but he also knows he's got some heat there with David Cater. Those two guys have been locked real close all season long to this point. He knows he's got to do something to get up there and get away from him. Maybe make a little bit of, give himself a little cushion, the points where he maybe start attacking Jared Crawford a little bit as opposed to having to play defense the whole time.
You had, David Cater sitting just 32 points behind Jared Crawford up here. Up a position this week in the points, guys. Right now, David Cater is running in 11th position here at Richmond in that number 20 machine. But I'll tell you what, in front of him is Ian Hahn, Chad Coleman up here in 9th position. So he's got a number of cars to work through here at Richmond. Tough to do to get up there to give Jared Crawford a run for his money and close the distance in on those points a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. But I tell you, I'm surprised a bit already here. I mean, I'm looking back through this field, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of side-by-side action. We're seeing maybe a couple of guys here towards the back of the field running side-by-side. But he's running single file, and when they do get side-by-side, they're making their pass, they're making it stick, and get right back single file. So a lot of single file racing. These guys showing a little bit of respect to each other out here early on.
Yeah, David Cater, we'll go back to him. He's back, move him back a notch, actually. You talk about side-by-side stuff here. It was Paul Kushiba who made his way past David Cater, but David's got a ton of laps ahead of him here to get the job done. 130 laps on the board here at Richmond, so a lot of racing here to do. David Cater's got plenty of time to get that 20 machine up there in front and challenge for the lead up there. But I'll tell you what, up in front of him is going to be Armando Vargas, actually in 18th position, moving back a couple of notches. Armando Vargas, who was, I believe he was a threat here a couple of seasons ago, but haven't seen a whole lot of him here recently.
No, while I was watching right there with Cater, I just saw the 25 of Ian Hahn go really, really high down there through 3 and 4 and lose a couple of spots. I don't know if he just got shoved up there or if he just drove up there, but that's something to keep an eye on at this point.
Pretty much single file racing here for now, guys. And I tell you, watching these guys go around the bottom lane down there, the preferred lane down there, I haven't seen a whole lot of success off the top groove up here at Richmond. But as this thing wears on, David, look for these cars to start pushing real bad in the turns and drifting up into that outside lane up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the tires wear, you know, that's one of the things that'll start coming into effect is the guys will start actually, not only will they start pushing up there, they'll actually start driving up there a little bit, try to get a little extra grip and see what they can do as the tires wear. And that's when you're going to really start to see that outside line work. And late in this race, you know, I would say I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody make a pass up there if we've got enough laps on the tires to make it work.
Nice shot of Brad Mayhar inside the cockpit, riding along with Brad. He's currently in fourth, in looks like a fourth position there. And nice shot from John down there working the cameras, pushing those buttons with those magic fingers of his. I'll tell you what, Cowboy, ain't no better in the business. John Westland working the cameras for you tonight here at Richmond. And I tell you, this has got a pretty green flag look to it, guys. Jared Crawford opening up the distance here, 1.3 seconds over Casey Malone in second position. Behind him back here, Chad Lawton, Brad Mayhar still in fourth, guys. So I'll tell you what, looking at the rundown here, Chad Lawton, who started outside of Jared Crawford, slipping back here a notch here a little bit, guys. But Chad finished, I believe, second, if I'm not mistaken, was it Chad Lawton that finished second at Michigan last week, I believe?
I do believe that's correct. Those two teammates, and they are teammates, had an outstanding run at Michigan, and when it came down to it, Jared Crawford was just a little bit too much for Chad. And yeah.
And I think it was Dustin Montgomery, I believe, who came in third at Michigan last week. In a terrific race. I think we got out of there with, I don't know, 4 or 5 cautions. A couple of them, of course, coming late in the race. I mean, that's probably to be expected. We see that all the time. Back here in 9th position, Justin Brooks being challenged on the bottom here by the number 20 machine. It's going to be David Cater trying to move that machine forward. Looks like David's gained a couple of positions here already. Remember last we had he's running in 12th, gave up one. Now starting to put that 20 car, get him a little bit closer to Jared Crawford up there.
Yeah, this is about time. You know, we're getting close here. We're about. Now is really when those tires are going to start to come into effect. You're going to start seeing who's got setups. I believe I was hearing, JD, that they were talking somewhere on fuel, but you probably were going to be coming in sooner than that for tires. You know, so you know, we're about 20% of the race run through. Yeah, they're probably starting to feel the effects of what their setup's got right about now.
You bet. We'll keep an eye on the tire action here at Richmond. Of course, short track racing, you know, you can get a whole lot of laps off your tires. But tell you what, you know, Richmond Speedway, kind of a tough track on tires a little bit. Just depends on how hard you're going to run it here early in the race. But 130 laps on the board, 19 laps in the books already. And things are looking pretty sweet out here. Watching Ian Hahn in 15th position back here, kind of minding his own business, getting good exits, good entrance, good exits off the turns here. But in front of him, Adam Gillian seems to be a little bit heavy on the throttle coming off the turns here, guys. And that number 4 machine, as he gets wicked sideways coming off of turn 4, almost getting around there, but to hang it on to it, crossing the start finish line, going into turn 1, keeping an eye on the 4 machine down here as he's getting wicked loose coming off of turn 4, guys.
Yeah, I was just watching him through 1 and 2, and he was getting a little bit sideways coming off of turn 2 as well, so that's something he's going to be wanting to be careful of, because if that car does snap where he's at, it could be big.
I believe that's the shot of him in the on the ETV screen there. I'll tell you what, watching his hands work that steering wheel, Cowboy. I'll tell you what, sawing back and forth on that machine as he works his number 4 diet tastes better on the flip side. Number 4 machine through the turn here, but it looks like he's got it pretty much under control now. Adam Gillian still running in 14th position, looking pretty decent now.
Yeah, looking pretty good, and somebody else that's looking good. We've talked about him a couple of times already. Continuing to start his march to the front. David Cater's up to 8th, and that car really looks like it's starting to...
Yeah, it won't be long now, but I'll tell you what, we got kind of a threesome back here. About 10th position. Watching the 19 car, Carson Downs back here, 9th and 10th position back here. was being challenged a little bit by the 14 machine. I'll tell you what, the 14 of Brandon Houck was up on the outside, and Carson Downs on the bottom, and in front David Cater. These guys looked like they were running him down a little bit, but they got it all squared away now. Carson Downs able to work that top side or that bottom lane, get past the 20 machine. That's going to be David Cater. So David Cater, Brandon Hook rather. Houck, I guess, is the way you pronounce that name. And that 14 machine. I got to get used to these guys' names. Not often I get to work a booth.
Yeah, that's okay, JD. It's great having you step up and be able to fill in on nights like this. And, I kind of predicted before we got going tonight that we might see a few more wrecks. And, quite frankly, I've been pretty impressed. But I do think I just saw a car in the wall going into turn 1 up there. Going to try to see if I can see who that was. Saw him up against the wall going through 1 and 2.
You bet. That's going to be the 8 machine of Justin Brooks, and he may have pulled the old ripcord and parachuted out of that machine before it got out of shape on him. But I believe that's going to be the 8 machine of Justin Brooks. Guys, gets wild, wicked out of shape, going down the front strip, crossing our center of the wall. Doesn't seem like he can get it off the wall, and decides to pull the old ripcord, and away he goes. So I believe Justin Brooks. Is behind the wall, guys.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that happened to him. And, in some ways it's fortunate for the rest of these guys, because that means they can continue on this green flag, but, it would have been interesting to see if he could have made repairs to that car and maybe gotten back out here and at least finished the race.
Yeah, it looked like a whole lot of damage. He just got a little out of shape, slapped the wall coming off of turn 4 there just a little bit. Of course, once you do that, you're sawing back and forth on that wheel, trying to keep the car from getting too upset. Wound up tangling with that wall right down the middle of the front stretch there, but it almost looked like he had it under control. Like you say, a little bit of damage to the side of that car. I mean, nothing that you could pull into the pits, get a little sheet metal fix on that baby with some ball peen hammers, and get back out there. At least, collect as many points as you can for the night.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a surprise, and it is what it is. But, I tell you, JD, we talk about it week in and week out, but just how good is Jared Crawford right now? I mean, this guy pretty much has come out every single race and dominated at times. The few times he hasn't has been a situation where he's gotten behind, but he usually is able to get back to it. But, I mean, he's sitting out there. We are now 32 laps complete, going to be coming to finish 33 here in about a half a lap. But he's got a 2.8-second lead on second place right now. I mean, nobody's been able to touch him.
You bet. And I'll tell you what, Casey Malone turning 21.872 to Jared Crawford 21.818. So, that's another reason why Crawford able to open up the distance just a little bit faster on the lap times here. But how long can he keep it up here at Richmond Speedway? Well, I'll tell you what, Cowboy, we will find out. Right now, we're going to go ahead and step away. We'll take our first commercial break of the night. You're watching it live, ETV Live. There ain't no other choice. Richmond Speedway, the Friday night showdown. So don't wander off. We'll be right back. Wow, and we're back. I'll tell you what, no change on the front row up here. Jared Crawford, Casey Malone still holding the fort down. Chad Lawton still running in third position. Brad Mahar in fourth. But I'll tell you what, let's move on back down to eighth position here. David Cater, who looking to run down Jared Crawford in the points. 32 points behind Jared Crawford, David. But I tell you, can Crawford be caught?
Crawford can be caught if one of two things happens. He screws up big time, or there's a caution. About any other way, I just don't think he can be. You know, maybe one other possibility would be if he ends up in some really, really heavy lap traffic, which I do know that he is working some lap traffic right now. But I just don't think that, you know, David Cater can make up 8 seconds just due to traffic. It's got to be a mistake or a caution.
And E.J. O'Rourke, who is in that number 13point.com car, started 13th, guys, going backwards here tonight. He's going to be the last one on the lead lap here. So E.J. O'Rourke having some difficulty at Richmond tonight. And E.J., you know, he's been struggling all season to try to stay within that top 5 reach here. But he's sharing that seat with Anthony Kurnich. I don't believe Kurnich is in this race here tonight. So whether Kurnich made it to another split or not, I don't know, but certainly not in this one here tonight. So this may be maybe a pretty decent night for EJ, at least close the distance. But Ryan Engel also sitting in 4th place in the ETB points here tonight, guys. He's up a notch, 63 points, only a couple points in front of EJ O'Rourke, but EJ certainly not having the night that he wanted to have here at Richmond tonight. Now, you know, let's talk about this track for a minute, David. 3/4 mile track. It's a short track, much like Bristol. This is the kind of track where you have to develop a rhythm and stay with it.
Yeah, rhythm is absolutely everything. You get into a nice feel here. You know, Bristol's a little different because it's basically a symmetrical track. Not entirely, but more or less symmetrical. And this one's got, you know, kind of a real straight backstretch, and then that wide sweeping D oval, but you absolutely get into a rhythm. You find your braking points, you find your let-off points, and you know, once you get in that zone, if you stick with it, you know, especially if you got a car that'll do it, there's nobody gonna catch you. And I think that's what we're seeing with Jared Crawford right now, is he has absolutely got that rhythm going.
It's like Jake Poulin about ready to go a lap down. Crawford just went around E.J. O'Rourke, so E.J. down 1 lap, and there goes the number 2 machine around the 23 car. So 23 going a little bit wide in a turn, going to let that number 2 car go. Smart thing to do here at Richmond. And I tell you what, Crawford is just picking them up and putting them down here, Cowboy, as he put 2 cars, actually 3 cars down a lap already. John Bunton, E.J. O'Rourke, and Jake Poulin back in the back here, running 22nd, 23rd, 24th, respectively. But I'll tell you what, let's go up here to the middle of the pack, about 8th position. David Cater looking to hunt down Jared Crawford. Cater running in 8th. So I tell you, no movement since about, maybe say 24, 25 laps ago. It looks like David Cater's kind of stalled out here in 8th position. Inside the top 10, that's a good position to be in.
Yeah, that's really not a bad spot at all to be in. And JD, one of the things that we got to talk about, you know, this is only 130 laps long, this race tonight. You know, they've completed 50 of those. Some of these guys may well be thinking about coming in right around that lap 65 mark and short pitting this a little bit and breaking this race up into 2 segments, because they will have to make a pit stop, and it may behoove these guys to make that pit stop sooner rather than later and get advantage of the fresher tires.
Yeah, you know, there's a couple of schools of thought out there on that too. You know, some schools of thought you want to stay out there as long as you could possibly stay out. Might be a caution late in a tire run, fuel run, as the tires start getting loose. But John, what do you got, bud?
Yeah, JD, I'm following this 12 machine of Joshua B. Gerald, buddy. He is getting looser and looser off these corners. And our first caution here is he's coming off these corners, and he's barely holding on to this thing coming off the corner.
Well, I'll tell you what, that kind of plays right into you know, what I was talking about here as far as tire strategy here at Richmond. Schools of thought. You know, David, if you come in now you can certainly open up the distance, you know, and you know, get some speed early out of the run. But you know, if you try to stay out there as long as possible, you know, I mean, that's another strategy that might come into play too. You know, you stay out there as long as possible and try to maximize your tires. But John, what do we got, bud?
Yeah, JD, something coming off pit road here, guys. Wrong setup for Justin Brooks, buddy. Wrong setup. He just got off the track and put her on the hauler. How do you say that, JD? Doe.
Whoops.
Up on the hauler and headed for the barn, cowboy. I tell you what, Justin Brooks gone for the night, but you know what? You come out here, you fire it up, you get it on track, you put the old college effort to it, and do what you can. But Justin Brooks calling tonight here from Richmond. And I tell you, checking over here in the chat room some more, David. Looks like Justin Brooks is logged in the chat room. Actually, I think I just heard the back doors open up. Justin, hey bud, welcome up here to the ETV Live.
Hold on, JD. Let me get the cowbell, the dunce bell, real quick. Hold on, let me ring it.
Hey, Justin Brooks, man, what happened down there, bud?
Man, I guess the crew put the wrong stuff under the car for the race and all that. We had a good piece in practice and all, but right there before the race, I wanted to make some changes and all that, and it turned out to be really bad changes. Didn't go my way.
Oh, that's upsetting, isn't it? I heard your crew chief talking about New Hampshire. Perhaps they brought your New Hampshire car instead of the Richmond car, or what?
I don't know what that was, but it felt like a road course setup, honestly. I mean, it would go left, right, I mean, backwards, forward, it'd go every other way. I mean, you know, you couldn't really tell what that car was going to do. I'd go in a corner, sometimes it just want to spin out or push up the track. I mean, it was total junk. I've been running this whole week practicing on. I mean, I just hate it for all the guys on my crew. They had a good car all week and all that, and I just hate to have this disappointing run for them, but, I mean, can't do anything about it now.
All right, maybe they left the old Pocono setup under there, but I'll tell you what, looking at the top 5 here, we do have some changes. Tyler D. Hudson up a notch here. Paul Kushiba flipping backwards one. Paul Kushiba now in 5th position. And Brad Mahar also slipping backwards here a little bit, David. Brad Mahar in that 11th machine now back to 6th position. So a little bit of change up here, and I got a funny feeling what we're seeing are the effects of some tire wear here. 60 laps in the books. Oh, is right in front of Mahar, the one car of Tyler out of shape coming off of turn 4. Managed to hang on to it. He's got, I think that was E.J. O'Rourke up there on the top behind him. But David, looks like we're seeing some effects of some worn out tires here now.
Oh yeah, I just happened to see as I was watching that happen, the 3 of Paul Kushiba, as that pass was going on, got dead sideways coming off the corner, and I think we're really starting to see some of these guys that had their cars set up a little bit loose are really starting to pay for it. And I'm seeing more and more guys getting up there and just getting up against that fence coming off of turn 2 as well as off of turn 4. So definitely some things to watch out for. You know, we're about halfway now. What is the next half going to have in store?
I'll tell you what, you know, I imagine some of these guys probably praying and hoping for a caution here pretty soon, but if no caution, we should see some tire strategy starting to play out here, see who's going to come in here pretty quick here. Probably about another 5 laps or so. You know, at least as lap 65, 67, I would expect to see some guys start coming down. But then again, you know, we'll try to hang on to it as long as you can possibly hang on to it to keep those fresher tires on your machine for that final run.
Yeah, no question. They're going to do everything they can to keep those tires going and keep out there. You know, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if here in the next 4 or 5 laps you see somebody gamble. I mean, that some of these guys is the only chance they've got. But you know, I tell you, JD, coming into this race, could you have ever expected we would have gone the first half of the race completely caution-free?
No, not here at Richmond. I'll tell you what, though, you know, Friday Night Showdown, these boys know how to get the job done. Of course, Friday Night Showdown being sponsored by Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated. Check those boys out. In fact, we might as well go ahead and do a plug right here, right now. Like the commercial says, if you've seen it, if your pickup truck is so small for the load, get a real truck cowboy to haul it. Sponsoring the Friday Night Showdown series on ETV Live, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated provides LTL and TL loads, long and short haul options for hauling furniture, sensitive equipment, perishables, even refrigerated products, and a whole lot more like cup cars. I'll tell you what, with stores in the U.S. and Canada, CT-PAT approved and fast express drivers, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated is the best choice, cowboy, to haul your load. Give the old pickup truck a rest. Call Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated, 800-668-2980, or check it out, gmercer.com.
And I tell you, JD, it's people like Gary Mercer and what he does that make this all happen for us. Without them, there wouldn't be this series. There wouldn't be the excitement around these Friday night races. You know, I hear talk about these guys always talking about the fact that, you know, they're excited to be here on Friday nights because the broadcast and everything else that goes along with it. And, you know, from the broadcast point of view, we love being here.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, it's always been a lot of fun calling races up here. I know I've taken a back seat here out of the booth here for a while. Got some other things I've been working on. Of course, if you're tied up with John Westling, I'll tell you what, cowboy, the work never quits around here. So confident broadcasters up in the booth and pit reporters, I tell you what, makes my job a little bit easier. Now I can spend more time behind the curtain with John, working on some of the other stuff that needs to get done around here too. But I'll tell you what, I do enjoy coming up here in the booth, spending time with you guys up here, and it's been a ton of fun for sure.
Just want to know why you get a little break, JD, and I still got to come to work every night. What's wrong with that, David Bass? There's something wrong with this picture.
John,
hey, you know how it is when you're married. When a wife says, "Let's go," you know.
But I'm not married to you, JD. You keep forgetting.
Yeah, ask my wife that.
Until you start bringing my coffee every night, JD, we're not married.
But you know, John, I've talked to you a couple of times when we've had a little of a break, and there have been more than once I've heard you say, "I don't know what I'm doing with my night."
I'll tell you what, watching down here, I'm in 6th position here, guys. Watching his number 3 car. It's going to be Paul Kashiva. And, you know, I've always been impressed with Paul Kashiva's efforts out here just about any track, but seems to be struggling here tonight a little bit. Inside the top 5, inside the top 10, just outside the top 5. Kashiva seems to be struggling here now a little bit. Of course, 74 laps in the books here at Richmond, so we should be seeing green flag pit stops coming here momentarily, guys. And I'll tell you what, I think these guys are playing out this tire strategy, David. They're going to try to stay out here as long as possible so they'll wind up with fresher tires on their machines as this thing starts to wind down. 130 laps on the books here at Richmond. 75 already completed. So still some good racing here left to do, guys. But I'll tell you, Jared Crawford building up that lead now to 4.1 seconds.
Yeah, he's definitely putting it out there, and right now nobody's being able to reach him. But I tell you, this whole tire strategy situation now, this is where things get really dicey. You've got guys out there that really don't have cars handling very well at all. You've got guys that are marginal, some that are really good, and you put them all together, especially as we're starting to get into more and more lap traffic, as our leader now has put everybody up through 16th position, a lap down, and it looks like he's going to continue that march at this point unless he's stopped by some reason. You know, this is where tires start to come in effect. You know, somebody that's a lap or more down, you know, he has a problem, he spins out. He could take out 2 or 3 lead lap cars very, very, very easily, and not even, you know, be a situation where you had too many people trying to, you know, trying to race for it.
Yeah, guys, something else too. I mean, somebody that's always been lightning fast on this Friday night B-Car Showdown is Armando Vargas. What has happened to him, guys, in the last 2 seasons? I mean, he's won plenty of races here on ETV on Friday nights, and I haven't seen him crack the top 10 in quite some time, other though he has had a little bit of bad luck in a couple of races, being on his lid, but I really haven't seen a strong run out of Armando.
You're right, John. That number 16 machine running in 14th position here tonight at Richmond. So not even in the top 10 in the points here on the ETV Live Friday Night Showdown series here with Gary Mercer Trucking. But Let's take it up a couple of notches here. Let's move it up inside the top 5. How about 4th position, that number 1 car there, Tyler D. Hudson. I tell you, I've been watching this guy off and on here all night long, and he is just absolutely picture perfect. And this is the rhythm that I was talking about earlier, David. He has not slipped up a notch. He started out in 6th position. He's up in 4th position inside the top 5 here, and just running picture perfect laps here at Richmond, guys.
Yeah, he's running picture-perfect laps, but I tell you what, the 11 there of Brad Mayhar is all over him. And it looks like he's trying to make a move down into turn 1, but with that rhythm, that picture-perfect line off, I just don't know how long he's going to be able to do that before the 11 gets a little bit desperate and maybe puts the bumpers. Now they're side by side into turn 1.
All right, move the 11 car up a couple of notches there. I'll tell you what, Brad Mayhar having a pretty decent night here at Richmond, guys. Tyler Hudson finally falling victim to that number 11 car. But I'll tell you, you know, still looking pretty sharp out here, guys.
Yeah, right now, JD, I gotta say this may well be the best battle on the track, because you got the 11, the 1, and the 3 all right there together, all for position. So these guys are still working hard, but you know, they're definitely giving each other some respect here. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, as we're now about 45 laps from the end of this race. But at this point in time, they're still racing nice and clean. And you know, one of the things I've been surprised, I have not seen any car-to-car contact out here.
None whatsoever. And I'll tell you what, this is probably one of the best races at Richmond International Raceway that I have ever seen. And 87 laps in the books, caution-free, guys. Of course, there goes the ETV jinx for sure. But I'll tell you what, 87 laps later, these tires are feeling the pain of those 87 laps for sure. And I'm looking forward to some green flag pit stops coming here just shortly. As, up in front, somebody just got out of shape coming off of 4. Looks like it could be the 25 car of Ian Hahn, guys, getting clear out of shape.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. Ian's usually very, very clean, you know, very smart, doesn't make many mistakes, but he did there. But then he was able to back it up with a really good move and just get out of the way of the lead lap cars that were coming in a hurry, and didn't really cause any bigger issues, as it looks like maybe somebody else, actually looks like maybe that car missed pit road. I'm trying to see who that was that is going to be the number 17, was real slow down the front stretch. He may have been trying to hit pit road and just missed it.
Yeah, looking backwards here on my monitor here a little bit. I didn't pick that one up, but it looks like right now. I think John might have it there.
Guys, actually believe that was Brandon Bowie, and he actually got loose, I think, coming off the corner, and he did. He wasn't trying to pit. He put her plumb sideways, came through the grass, and a remarkable job saving that car through the grass.
That is pretty amazing.
I'll tell you what, you know, nobody does it better than ETV Live, Cowboy. I told you, look at that E-View up there, picture-in-picture, right here on ETV Live. So bring you the best of the action from Richmond Speedway, David.
Yeah, no question. We do everything we can to catch all the action. And, you know, 2 incidents, somebody getting really loose off of turn 4, JD, here in the last couple of laps. That's really got to have some of these guys considering that, you know, maybe they want to get in here and get some fuel and tires and go from there, because, you know, we're down to about 35 laps here by the time they get back around, make the pit stop and such. You know, if they wait too much longer, they're not going to have any time to make use of those new tires.
You bet. And I'll tell you what, overhearing some people chattering on the radio here, picking up on the race scanner up here in the booth, looks like possibly 100 to 110 laps here on fuel. So why don't we go ahead, well, it's still early here a little bit, step away, take another commercial break here. Hopefully when we come back, we'll bring you some green flag pit stops. You're watching live, ETV Live, the Gary Mercer Trucking Friday Night Showdown from Richmond International Raceway. Don't wander off, Cowboy. We'll be right back. Hey, JD here with ETV Live, and let me tell you something. If it's too big for the pickup truck and you need to move it, there's only one trucking company you need to call, and don't bother with the Yellow Pages, cowboy. I'll give you that number in a minute. Manufactured goods, automotive, technical equipment, furniture, even if you need a reefer, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated is the only choice, cowboy. With locations in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, Rancho Cucamonga, California, if you need to move it, store it, and keep it cold, you need to call Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated. Long haul, short haul, or just across town, Gary Mercer has the best trained and qualified drivers to get your load from point A to point B with professionalism and on time. So remember, Hoss, if it don't fit in a pickup truck, you're going to need a real truck, cowboy. Sponsors of ETV Live's Friday Night Showdown, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated, 1-800-668-2980. MTCO Communications, dude, I'll tell you what, the only place to get your gaming servers, no contract, month to month. Get gaming tonight with Battlefield 2. Hey, Call of Duty, do it with R-Factor, Arca Sim Racing, dude. I'll tell you what, $49 a month, no better deal anywhere. Remote access, virus filters, remote power cycle, no player limit, no bandwidth, dude. Dedicated servers, hey, do it tonight. Give them a call, 800-859-6826. All right, I tell you what, cowboy, MTCO.com. That's where you want to get your gaming. Get gaming tonight, MTCO.com. They'll get you set up and get you rolling for sure. And I'll tell you what, cowboy, you didn't miss a thing here on ETV Live with the ETV E-View going. We're going to stay right with the action here, so you will miss a thing here. 99 laps in the books here, David. Caution-free thus far. Carson Downs back here in 22nd position, trying to hang on to that number 19 machine, having a difficult time. So I'll tell you what, moving on up through the field, we're starting to see the effects of worn-out tires. Those tires are screaming, help me, cowboy. So we got some green flag pit stop probably going to start happening by the chatter on the radio in about the next 8 to 10 laps.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much the tires are screaming, help me, but whoever's inside those cars, the pitch of their voice has probably gone up about 2 or 3 octaves here in about the last 20 laps.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, their suck fuel tank dry too, but I'm hearing scuttlebutt about 110 laps max fuel here at Richmond tonight. So 130 laps on the board here tonight, 103 in the books, cowboy. Jared Crawford still hanging on to that lead out in front, has built that lead up to a 4-second over Casey Malone. Casey running in that number 5 machine back here, having a pretty decent night here at Richmond. Of course, Chad Lawton in third, who started on the outside the pole, outside of Jared Crawford, still inside the top 5, third place. Brad Mayhar, I'll tell you what, cowboy, Brad Mayhar started in 7th position, been hanging around in the top 10 all night long, just gently pushing that number 11 machine forward, and having a good night here tonight. Paul Kashiba in 5th position, and that 3 machine, I'll tell you what, Paul Kashiba started way back in the pack, about mid-pack, 14th position at number 3 car, so it took him 105 laps to get there, cowboy. Paul Kashiba now running in the top 5.
Yeah, you know, I was watching the time there, JD. We're going to talk a little bit about Jared Crawford here again, and I saw that time was starting to drop just a little bit, and I went up and watched, and he was being extremely patient lap cars that were racing for position, knowing the kind of cushion he had, and was just riding for one of them to make a mistake where he could get the position on them without having to force the issue. And I tell you, as the leader with a 3.9 second lead, you're owed that that opportunity to just wait and not risk putting your car in a bad position.
Yeah, you got that right. And Crawford now losing a couple of tenths to Casey Malone as he's working lap down cars. But the bad boy, John Wessling, what do you got for us, bud?
Yeah, JD, and it seemed like it's pretty much settled out now with Casey Malone and Jared Crawford. I mean, Crawford was pulling away hard here, but it seemed like once they got about the 3 to 3.5 seconds, JD, it kind of settled down.
Yeah, you bet. Comfortable lead up there for sure, but I'll tell you what, green flag pit stops are coming our way, guys. Chad Lawton working his way down pit road. Looks like he'll be the first one in And I'm sure it's going to be, well, as the old cowboy says, it's going to be 4 new shoes and a bucket of oats for that number 7 machine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're probably not even going to make too much of a change on that car. The car was really good. You know, it just kind of faded from, which we've seen pretty much every week. You know, it wasn't anything major. We're 108 laps into the race, and he was only about 9 seconds back when, you know, Crawford had put all but the top 12 cars a lap down. So nothing real major on the car. 4 tires, fuel, and out he goes. He did lose 1 lap, which is to be expected on this racetrack because it is so short.
And here's some news, cowboy. No tires. Chad Lawton pit stop, 1.6 seconds splash of gas, and he's down and out. So that number 7 machine, no tires. He's going to try to get the race in 1 set of tires here. I think Jared Crawford, our leader, on his way down pit road, guys, in that number 2 machine. And as Casey Malone also hearing on the radio, Casey Malone also coming down pit road as well. Going to watch Jared Crawford here now. Chad Lawton came down, no tires, cowboy, unbelievable. We'll see what Chad can do with that. Keep an eye on. Oh, same thing for Jared Crawford, no tires, gas only, fuel only. Oh, he loses it. Jared Crawford loses it, almost getting out of shape on the exit of pit road.
No, but he did gather it up. But I tell you what, I think he pretty much was put in a position he didn't have any choice. When he saw what Chad Lawton did, he knew he was going to have to take fuel only and just hope the tires would hold on for the next 18, 20 laps. Because had he tried taking tires, he very well may have lost may have lost that race on that.
And
Brad, guys, 14 car.
Oh, I was just going to say, Brad Mayhar slid through his pit box and could not make it. Had to back it up. But I'm hearing Mark Gomez, or no, not Mark Gomez, Brandon Hauk possibly. Now I'm trying to pull it back on my machine here. Oh, Hauk goes upside down. 14 car coming off of turn 4 here, tries to make it down pit road, hits the barrels, upside down he goes, rolls it over, able to flip it back over on its lid and get it into his pit box. So Brandon Hawk with an e-ticket ride here on his entrance to pit road, guys.
E-ticket ride, no question. I tell you what's surprising, that did not bring out a caution. We are still green, JD.
Still green flag racing here. Joshua Gerald up here in the front as your leader right now in that 12 machine. Now he has not pitted yet, but looking at pit times, guys. You know, we're looking at the 1.5, 1.6. Brad Mayhar with a 5.9. Of course, he overshot his pit box, had to back it up. So Brad Mayhar losing some time on pit road. He's in 15th position now. Keep in mind the position really doesn't mean a whole lot right now. We haven't cycled all the way through pit stops yet with Joshua Gerald, Weidman out front with Gerald as well.
Oh, the 10, I just happened to see, sorry to jump on there, the 12 came down pit road and the 10 was following him in. That would be the 10 of Wes Weidman, looped it coming down on pit road, didn't make any contact with anything, so he'll be able to make you know, get that car pointed the right direction. And so far, no harm, no foul, just some lost time and some lost pride probably for that gentleman for this evening. But so far, everybody still managed to get through this round of pit stops fairly clean.
You bet. I'll tell you what, you saw that one live on ETV Live as well. And I'll tell you, the best in the business, cowboy. That's why they call him a legend. John Westling, magic fingers pushing the buttons on the cameras tonight, and I'll tell you, he brings you the best of the action on any broadcast night here on ETV Live. Jared Crawford back out in front one more time, cowboy. Armando Vargas is out there. Casey Malone, Tyler Hudson hanging out to the top 5 run here at Richmond. So green flag pit stops underway here at Richmond as Tyler Hudson works around that number 3 machine. Armando Vargas peeling off. He'll be coming down pit road here, making his pit stop as well, guys.
Yeah, no question. I tell you, JD, we were talking about the lead that Jared Crawford had before that pit stop. That has been cut in half. Casey Malone is now only 2 points behind him at this point.
You bad. Down the another fuel only for that 16 machine as well, guys. So I'll tell you what, these guys taking a big risk here. I think if it was me, David, I would have at least taken right side tire just to ensure a little bit of grip, you know, going through the turns here a little bit. But opting for no tire change here tonight at Richmond, fuel only stops. I'll tell you what, we're looking at pit times as little as 1.6 seconds, Cowboys. So I'll tell you what, that's just throw the fuel in there and get it back out on the track. So Jared Crawford still hanging out in front, 2.8 seconds in front of Casey Malone. But I'll tell you what, Tyler Hudson been doing a darn nice job here tonight. And I'll tell you, Tyler Hudson, you know, like I said before, watching him here for a few laps, about 15, 20 laps ago, you know, he gets into his turns, executes them with perfection, gets a good run off the turns. I'll tell you what, just setting up that rhythm, lap after lap after lap, and he's there in third position.
Yeah, Tyler's done a great job. There's no question about it. As have pretty much everybody in this field. I can't say anything bad about any of the drivers in the field tonight. Everybody's done a great job. Some of them haven't had the setup. Some of them haven't been as fast as everybody else. But what they've done is just been, quite frankly, incredible. You know, we're 126 laps into this race of 130. We're about to go caution-free. Knock on wood that I haven't just jinxed it. And that's pretty good, JW.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to say, DB, is knock on JD's head. You got to knock on a little wood, DB. This will be the second Friday night showdown race caution-free, if we can make it, boys.
I'll tell you what, we'll be sure to whisper that to each other up here in the booth, keep them getting that ETV jinx out here. But I'll tell you, I have not seen a better race here on the Friday Night Showdown than right here at Richmond tonight. 130 laps, a 3/4 mile short track racing here. I'll tell you, this is not the easiest track in the world to race here, Cowboy. But these guys are doing a picture perfect here tonight. Jared Crawford, your pole sitter tonight, and it'll be from pole to checkers for Crawford tonight as we start winding this thing down with 3 to go.
Yeah, we're coming to get the 2 to go right here as he crosses the line. 2 laps to go to finish this race. Jared Crawford has done an outstanding job, just has dominated this race. I don't think anybody was even close enough to see that car all night long, with the exception of the first maybe 4 laps of the race before he pulled away on everybody. That car's just been perfect, as it has been all season long to this point. He's just going to continue to pad his points lead for this thing, as we do have the white flag. Jared Crawford through 1 and 2, going to be going down the backstretch, just a half a lap away from victory.
For the last time going into turn 3, and I'll tell you what, he's got some lap cars in front of him, but hey, it's no harm, no foul here as he comes off turn 4 for the last time tonight and collects the checkered flag at Richmond International Raceway. Jared Crawford picking up another trophy here tonight. I'll tell you what, that old display case getting heavy with trophies here from Jared Crawford. But Casey Malone, good run tonight. Finished. And I'll tell you what, Cowboy, that boy earned it all night long. He drove an absolutely perfect race here tonight. So congratulations to Tyler Hutt. Strong third place finish for him. I'll tell you what, you know, we were looking at the points. E.J. O'Rourke tonight. E.J., not the run he was hoping for tonight. He's going to finish 2 laps down here at Richmond, guys. So not the strongest point tonight he was looking for, but perhaps that'll keep him, you know, enough to keep him up inside the top 5 here with the overall points. So strong finish here at Richmond. I tell you, something that I have not seen in a long, long time, and that was a caution-free green flag run at Richmond International Raceway as Jared Crawford celebrates his victory tonight.
Yeah, JD, it was definitely one of those races that nobody expected. You know, we all talked about the fact that, you know, we figured there might be several wrecks in this race. It just didn't happen. Jared Crawford dominated. Everybody else did an outstanding job, and I tell you, it's hard to say anything but good things about a race like we just saw here tonight.
Well, I tell you what, you know, this is absolutely going to go into the top 5 here on ETV Live. And I'm sure I can probably talk John into throwing it up on the 24-hour channel, put it on the playlist up there. I'll tell you what, this was a definitely a race to watch here at Richmond tonight. So right now we're going to go ahead and step away. We'll take a quick commercial break and see if we can't gather some folks up for a little bit of after-race chatter here in the booth. So hey, don't wander off, Cowboy. We'll be right back. Hey, JD here with ETV Live, and let me tell you something. If it's too big for the pickup truck and you need to move it, there's only one trucking company you need to call, and don't bother with the Yellow Pages, Cowboy. I'll give you that number in a minute. Manufactured goods, automotive, technical equipment, furniture, even if you need a reefer, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated is the only choice, Cowboy. With locations in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, Rancho Cucamonga, California, if you need to move it, store it, and keep it cold, you need to call Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated. Long haul, short haul, or just across town, Gary Mercer has the best trained and qualified drivers to get your load from point A to point B with professionalism and on time. So remember, Hoss, if it don't fit in a pickup truck, you're going to need a real truck, Cowboy. Sponsors of ETV Live's Friday Night Showdown, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated, 1-800-668-2980. All right, and we are back at Richmond International Raceway, and I'll tell you what, Cowboy, this is absolutely a top 10 in the hundreds done here at ETV Live from Richmond International Raceway. The Friday Night Showdown here, sponsored by Gary Mercer Trucking. I'll tell you what, Cowboy, give those boys a call if you need to haul something, gmercer.com. But let's talk to Casey Malone here for a second. Finished second here tonight at Richmond. Casey, I tell you, you started out in the top 5 in third, made it up to second, and what a night here at Richmond. How is that possible?
I'm not sure. That was amazing, though, and I'm really glad we didn't have any cautions because the car was a lot better on the long run.
You know, looking for green flag pit stops starting about, say, lap 100 or so. That was the scuttlebutt we were hearing out of the garage here tonight. I'll tell you what, able to string that out quite the distance here at Richmond, and no tires, Cowboy. How is that possible?
Well, I saw a lot of people trying to short pit, but the time difference wasn't that big. You fell off after 5 or 6 laps to the same times that you were running at the end of a run. So I think that made it so we could not take tires and just take fuel.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, Jared Crawford taking home another trophy here from Richmond, but, you know, tried to close the distance on it. Did you have anything for Jared? I mean, how many laps do we have to put in before somebody finally gets up the bump to the bumper of that number 2 machine?
I don't think I had anything for him. I was just trying to ride around at the end and not ruin my race, but those guys are fast every week, so I'm not sure how long it'll take before we get somebody to dethrone him, but it'll sure be a good race when it happens.
There you go. All right, finishing second tonight, Casey Malone. Casey, any shout out there you want to give?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Brad Mahar and Paul Klein for working on setup with me this week, and I'd like to thank Gary Mercer Trucking for coming on board. That's gmercer.com. Absolutely, and again, congratulations here from Richmond Speedway. David, Brad Mahar in the house here tonight. What's he up to?
I have caught up with Brad Mahar. Brad, great top 5, finished 4th tonight. Just really kind of a workman's kind of night for you. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about your thoughts on how that race went tonight?
Yeah, man, it was an incredible race. A lot of good passes, and everybody racing clean, smart. It was kind of nice for a change, especially on a short track.
Yeah, there's no question. We were all surprised just how well that race went tonight. But let me ask you, how bad were the tires at the end of that run? Were you just hanging on for dear life trying to finish the race?
The great setup we put together. That it really wasn't. Had awesome bite coming up out of the corner. Good on entry, a little tight on her, but other than that, it was fantastic. I actually made it there towards the end of the run and took 2 tires. Took a few laps for them to come in. I felt like I could have got Tyler again, but they started overheating pretty bad.
Yeah, all right. I got to ask you, you know, it was kind of the same question we asked Casey there just a minute ago. You know, we've seen Jared Crawford come in and dominate these races so far this part of the season. How long do you think you're going to be before we get somebody up there and really put some pressure on him?
I think his time is coming to an end fairly quickly.
All right. Sounds like somebody with some confidence there, which is awesome. That's what you need. All right, buddy. Once again, congratulations on your 4th place finish. Give you an opportunity to give any shout-outs, thank any sponsors.
Yeah, man. Definitely want to thank Gary Mercer Trucking, Brennan Mercer, gmercer.com, and, of course, all my teammates at Kingpin Motorsports and Casey Malone for an awesome setup. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
All right, that was your 4th place finish of the number 11 of Brad Mahar. And back to you, JD.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, while you were talking to Brad, I was actually downstairs looking for Brennan Mercer. I finally found him. He was standing in a group of people signing a bunch of autographs. And I'll tell you what, kids tugging at his shirt sleeve, sign this program for me. But Brennan Mercer, finally got him corralled and up here in the booth. Brennan, I'll tell you what, Cowboy, what a race here tonight at Richmond. Caution, it's 130 laps. That one's got to make you feel pretty darn good.
Yeah, JD. You know what? This is that was really great. It's great to have a name on something to stamp it on, and our name, I should say, stamping on something that looks so great, especially 130 laps of clean, hard racing. Paul doing a great job trying to climb back into the top 10. Casey, solid 2nd place run, and Brad, solid 4th place run.
You know, ETV Live's been doing this now for a couple, I don't know, 3-4 seasons now, and I'll tell you, some of the best racing that we've seen here lately on ETV Live has come out of these Thursday, Friday night races, especially this Friday night showdown stuff. I remember back with Jesse the Outlaw James and, you know, here a couple of seasons ago. I mean, just fantastic racing here, and these guys absolutely the best of the best, Cowboy. And I'll tell you, to have Mercer Trucking's name all over it, certainly a big thing. 130 laps here, caution-free at a short track. You wouldn't think it had ever happened at a place like Richmond, but we got some more racing coming up here pretty soon. Let's talk about that All-Star race here for a minute, Brennan.
Yeah, we're still working out some minor kinks. There's actually, if you want to visit the iRacing forums, so you guys can see how you can qualify and see how we can get people into the race. We got a whole bunch of different ways to qualify, and you even got a little bit of a prize that Gary Mercer Trucking's going to throw out. $50 to the winner, $20 for the segment winner, and a couple random $15 prizes too. Some iRacing credits for the boys.
Wait a minute. Anybody seen the keys to my race car? John, you got the keys to my race car?
I'm down at the keys in the rim.
I tell you what, that's enough to entice me to fire up my old ride too. But I tell you what, it's looking pretty sweet out there for that to happen. But yeah, you know, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here from Richmond, and I had a good time here tonight. And I tell you, my cooler is still about half full. Race getting over a little bit early, so plenty of cold ones left in the old cooler down here. But I tell you, a good night here. 130 laps under the lights. You know, caution-free. Can't ask for more than that. Right here live on ETV Live, etv-eplay.net. We're going to wrap it up from Richmond Speedway. And so big thank you to David Bass, John Wessling, Brennan Mercer, and the gang. So we'll catch you next time on ETV Live.